People always tell me that they don't agree with my interpretation. And that's fine. No one has to agree with my interpretation. But when something comes to pass before all of our very eyes, is that an interpretation or is that a fulfillment of prophecy? It's a question I ask because as if people that call themselves believers, as if they have an option to say, no, I don't think that's what that is. I don't think that was a fulfillment of prophecy, even though the prophets wrote down the words and the words have come true. It's as if they don't believe the prophets that wrote the scriptures. Here's one of the clearest examples of that. John in Revelation 12 and 13, he saw a dragon flying in the firmament. He saw a dragon flying in the sky, and he told us about it. And in 2012, SpaceX Dragon took to the skies. So when John says he saw a dragon, a wonder of a great red dragon flying in heaven, Joe says, hey, I saw that too. I saw the wonder of a great red dragon flying in the sky.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
And it happened to be right after I saw a woman clothed with the sun on September 23rd, 2017. So there is a fulfillment of prophecy. John told us what he saw in the sky, and now, unless you have your eyes closed, we have seen it. Another example is after John saw that dragon coming up out of the earth.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And stage 1 entry burn is underway. It's a burn of about 10 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Falcon 9 first stage headed back toward Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, where it launched 6 minutes, 37 seconds ago.
Stage 2 performance nominal.
And he doeth great wonders, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
He saw it making fire come down from the sky. And that was a miracle that this beast was using to deceive the world. So now, Elon Musk makes fire come down from the sky when he lands the very Falcon 9 rockets that lift Dragon capsules into orbit. This is called a fulfillment of prophecy. It's not an interpretation. It's not an opinion. It's something that has already happened in the reality that we live in, and you can't deny it. And I can't deny it either. What happens when a Christian says, no, I don't believe that that's what John saw, even though John told us what he saw? I'd be careful here. That's all I gotta say. I see a lot of people denying and separating themselves from these fulfillments as if they aren't fulfillments, what does that do to the Holy Spirit? What does that do to these prophets that wrote these scriptures? It makes them of none effect, which is also prophesied that the people of Israel would do. The house of Israel would kill these prophets, and that's what's happening. So that's why I'm making this video.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Daniel said he saw, and by the way, this is a testimony. Daniel gave us his testimony. He said he saw a beast that had been given dominion of the host of heaven. Well, today I see a beast up in the sky on a very strict schedule, as if it were a wandering star. I see this space station, and it has been given dominion of the host of heaven for a short time. We're in that time, because if you ever look up at the sky at the right time, you will see a wandering star that's only been there about 20 years. This is a fulfillment of Daniel's vision. Don't miss out on it. The first beast that Daniel saw, he said that he watched as its wings were plucked from it. This is another fulfillment of something that happened in 2011 when the space shuttle program had its wings taken away from it and it was retired. Yes, Daniel did say wings plucked, because this beast had wings. Wings are used to fly. 2011, we watched the space shuttle get retired, and then we watched a 9-year section of time go by where NASA had this deadly wound, the way I see it. They could not launch anybody into space. So this is where Daniel describes another beast. He describes the Russian Soyuz, which was, once the shuttle was retired, it became the only transportation for astronauts to go to this space station, this beast that was given dominion of the host of heaven. The only way to get there was on a Russian Soyuz for 9 years. And then just recently, this deadly wound was healed, and Bob and Doug rode up for the first time in history on a commercial aircraft from American soil to the space station. This deadly wound was healed. And that was Dragon that brought them up. These are fulfillments of the visions of the time of the end that were shown to 2 prophets. Which brings me to another subject. The 2 witnesses. Everyone's always talking about, who are the 2 witnesses? Who are the 2 witnesses? Maybe it's Elijah and Enoch. Maybe it's Moses and Elijah. Okay, great guessing game. I'm proud of you. But how about if we look to the scriptures? First of all, witnesses would be witness to something, correct? They would be witnesses. We wouldn't call them, or they wouldn't be called witnesses if they didn't see something or witness something that's important. Well, I know of 2 prophets in the Bible that were both told that they would be witnesses, and they were both told that they would have to come back at the end of days and be witnesses. Wouldn't that be a better way to find out who these two witnesses were, is to look to the scriptures rather than play the guessing game? In Daniel 12, verse 13, the very last verse in the book of Daniel, he is told to go rest because he will have to stand in his lot at the end of days. And yes, this was right after Daniel was shown the time of the end in a vision. So I would say Daniel's a good candidate for being one of these two witnesses. And I don't have to play a guessing game because it's Daniel 12 verse 13 that told me that. Look it up. Revelation 10 verse 11. John is told that he will have to prophesy to many nations and tongues and kings. So, what was John witnessing when he was told this? He was witnessing a vision sent by a signified angel of the time of the end. I think John would be a great candidate for one of the two witnesses because of Revelation 10 verse 11, not because of some idea that I thought of. John's told that he's going to have to prophesy, or I think it says prophesy. It might be give his testimony, whatever it is. Many nations, tongues, and peoples and kings, or whatever. Isaiah chapter 6 verse 5. Then said I, woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For mine eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Verse 8. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Then said I, here am I, send me. And he said, go and tell this people, hear indeed, but understand not, and see indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert, and be healed. Then said I, Lord, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate. And the Lord have removed men far away, and there shall be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. But yet in it shall be a tenth, and it shall return, and shall be eaten as a tale tree, and as an oak, whose substance is in them. When they cast their leaves, so the holy seed shall be the substance thereof. Isaiah 44, verse 18. They have not known nor understood, for he hath shut their eyes that they cannot see, and their hearts that they cannot understand. And none considereth in his heart, neither is there knowledge or understanding to say, I have burned part of it in the fire, yea, also I have baked bread upon the coals thereof, I have roasted flesh and eaten it. And shall I make the residue thereof an abomination? Shall I fall down to the stock of a tree? He feedeth on ashes, a deceived heart hath turned him aside, that he cannot deliver his soul, nor say, is there not a lie in my right hand? Verse 21. Remember these, O Jacob and Israel, for thou art my servant. I have formed thee, thou art my servant. O Israel, thou shalt not be forgotten of me. I have blotted out as a thick cloud thy transgressions, and as a cloud thy sins. Return unto me, for I have redeemed thee. Sing, O ye heavens, for the Lord hath done it. Shout, ye lower parts of the earth. Break forth into singing, ye mountains of forest, and every tree therein, for the Lord hath redeemed Jacob, and glorified himself in Israel. Thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself, that frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh diviners mad, and turneth wise men backward, and make their knowledge foolish, that confirmeth the word of his servant, and performeth the counsel of his messengers, that saith to Jerusalem, Thou shalt be inhabited.
And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then saith he unto me, See thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.
When you look up to the sky, like these people, when you look up to heaven, see Jesus.
And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.